This testing going. How we looking over there on the right side? Good. All right, vocal snap. Vocal snap. We ready? We good? Nope. All right. There's some WD-40 in this damn chair. I know that. That shit got to go. All right, we ready? Going live. Panama City, 850. What's good? It's the first segment of the show, you know what I'm saying? We can't go live on the first one, you know what I mean? Like full on live, because, you know, we got a couple of kinks and shit to work out, all that good stuff. There's a lot of quality engineering shit, you know what I mean? And we gotta figure out how we're gonna get this thing to work out, you know, and then we'll get to the video and shit later. But for right now, we're just gonna do the introduction. Occasionally, you know, we're probably gonna have some callers and stuff like that, you know, some interesting stuff, but the whole show itself is just mainly like we want to do is just talk about anything, you know, as long as it's not, you know, too far out. We don't want to do nothing like that, you know, but like, I mean, we want to talk about food, getting swole, whatever, bragging out whips. I mean, it's just a kind of an open show, you know, where I'm just gonna, you know, pretty much see what's good. So we're gonna start this off with a little like background type of thing, you know. So what we're gonna do is how I got into this, and then, you know, my credentials or whatever, and then we'll kind of kick it off from there. So how I got into this, you know, I always of course, you know, I always rap this shit like that and made beats. You know, I started with started in 9th grade, started making, you know, a little bit of beats and stuff, you know, wasn't nothing like today. And me and the boys, you know, we'd always write rhymes and shit in the lunchroom, but I was still, you know, I was that shy guy and shit, you know, I didn't want to rap in front of people and stuff, you know, I was kind of like, you know, I'd hide out and shit like that. That's just what I did. I was that type of guy, you know, I was never that dude that just popped up and be like, yo, you heard these new bars, you know, nothing like that, man, you know, I was kind of quiet. So eventually, you know, I mean, I remember when I spit my first freestyle and shit, you know what I mean, like, I was in my boys whip, the Beretta and shit, you know, my dog Matt and shit, we was riding around and we was always listening to like, back then, you know, like Cannabis was hot, Roscos, shit like that, you know, that's it. We always listened to shit like that. Anybody that was, that had bars or whatever, you know, and like real good bars, you know, like shit you had to think about, like you would be at the house and shit, like 5 days later, you heard the song in the whip. And then like 5 days later, you'd be thinking about it, like, oh shit, that's what that dude was talking about. You know, you actually had to think about this shit. Real cerebral stuff, you know, not like, and I don't want to say what you hear today, because when I say what you hear today, that makes me sound like, I guess technically I am considered an old head. I'm 32 years old, by the way, so I guess I am considered an old head or whatever. I grew up on a different era of music, you know, and the standards were different. But I don't want to say that I don't like any of the music that comes out today, because that's not a true statement for me, at least. Some people may feel like that, whatever. That's all you. But I don't feel like that. That's not a true statement for me. I don't like what the standard is for today. That's what I don't like. I don't like how you can say certain shit, dude. I mean, even on the radio, dude, you can say certain stuff and it shit just gets a pass, you know, whether you be like, oh yeah, I like the beat riding, the beat knocking, or whatever the case may be, you know what I mean? But like, I feel like personally, if the beat is fire, but the artist is trash, the fucking song is trash. I'm sorry, the song is fucking trash. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna go with some shit like that. That's just me though. I'm not gonna be like, yeah, that beat fire, bro, but the lyrics straight garbage. I don't even listen to them bitches. Then you should have got the fucking instrumental. But that's another story. Anyway, back to, see, I'm getting off subject already, man. Back to what I was talking about. I don't really agree with today's standards. So I was more on some philosophical shit, as far as bars and shit. I mean, some of it may have sounded, which you would call garbage or whatever, but like there was shit like even when we was taping it back then, and this wasn't when I did the freestyle shit. We didn't start taping stuff till way after, and we'll get to that in a minute. But when we first started rapping, if it was trash, dog, you got cut off in the car. Like if you was spitting booty bars, dog, you didn't even get to finish your shit. You didn't even get to make it to the hook of the jam. And we was rapping over people that was already rapping. I mean, like we had the CD and shit, no instrumentals, cause I mean, shit, you couldn't just boot up instrumentals and shit like that back then. There was like a couple people that made them, and then other than that, you was either rapping over a full jam or you was just rapping over an instrumental that somebody just put out, and there wasn't many of them, So you kind of had to take advantage. But we was in the Beretta and shit, and like I could never freestyle back then. That was something I always had to strive to do. So I see these motherfuckers that just be like, yeah, I woke up one morning, and I just started freestyling. That shit don't happen like that, dude. It takes practice. I'm talking about hours and hours and years of practice of trying to just be able to read some shit off of a piece of paper. So like if you talking about literally coming up off the dome, an authentic freestyle, the shit that we grew up on, a freestyle meant like you was just spitting off the head, and like none of this shit was written. None of this shit was premeditated. You wasn't 2 blocks away, thinking about this shit before you walked up to the spot, and then you just started spitting some shit you was thinking about 2 blocks ago. That's not a freestyle. I mean, that's damn near written. But it had to be off the head. It had to be fresh. Or you just didn't get a pass on any of that shit. So, first time I freestyled, we was in the Beretta and shit, and my dog was bumping the whip. I can't remember which jam it was on. And I'm talking about I had the Mother Goose ass bars, dog. You know what I'm talking. Y'all know what I'm talking about. This shit, man. I'm talking about bars was just straight cat in the hat shit. But it was fire to me, because I could never do it. I couldn't get more than 2 bars off without getting fucked up, without just straight where you just like you can't say shit after, and you start making noises and shit because you catching a buck. So we got to that point, where I was like, I actually could do a whole verse and shit. So when I say I did my first freestyle in that car, like it was like from hook to hook, and I'm not talking about the whole jam, just from one hook to one hook, and I made it through all that shit without getting bucked. So that was like an accomplishment to me and shit. So I kind of started there, and I was always rap with the boys, and then we had this one point, and this is when I started getting in the judo crew and shit. That was like my squad, man. We made some music and shit. Most of them kind of, saw this kind of like I guess it was fun to them and shit, but shit was never really fun to me because I had been doing music, my whole life, man. I've been playing music instruments and everything else, so it was never really fun to me. Everybody says that you should have fun when you do some shit that you're good at, and I don't think that's always true, man. I think that you should have fun with whatever you actually love to do. You know what I mean? I didn't go to school to do something that I wanted to do. I went to school so that I can fulfill a plan, like I had a plan, I still got a plan. But I'm trying to make it easier on myself to accomplish these goals, to make this plan, become a reality, to fulfill itself. And you have to have tools to do that shit. And if you don't have help, which, I don't know if you know me. If you know me, then you know what I'm talking about. I'm just not the type of motherfucker that's just going to ask you for help. I'm just not that dude. You know what I mean? Like, I could be getting real shit. I could be getting my lights cut off tomorrow. And you handing out bread, like shit, who need money, dog? It's right here. And then I'm, really the type of motherfucker that would just not even say shit. Shit about to get cut off tomorrow. I ain't got no paper coming in. You know what I mean? And just not say shit. Not even be like, hey, yo, can you break me off? I'm not that type of dude, man. I don't like that shit, man. I feel like it just chips away at a person's soul and shit. Once you get comfortable with doing shit like that, you start relying on it, and you start slacking and shit, man. Like shit that when you're on that grind, dog, like when your shit about to get cut off tomorrow, and you can make this money, you gonna grind it out, you gonna make this money. But when you get Well, you know that there's a dude right around the corner that could just flip you till next week. Like, yo, you just get me back next week. You start to rely on shit like that, man. And like I said, I think it chips at your soul and shit, man. So anyway, back to the bars and shit. You know, we was in judo and shit, and that's when I really started rapping. I was making beats and stuff like that, you know, like I would start making these beats and shit, and it, you know, there was corny beats too, just like when you first start rapping. The flows is corny, the beats is gonna be corny, you know, because you don't know any better. You know, you just try and do the best that you can do, and you don't have a standard, and that's the problem today. There's no standard, but you don't have a standard of what something should be called acceptable. And we was making these beats, you know, the guys, you know, they would get on there, and we was all freestyling, man. Like, we rarely wrote shit. If we wrote some shit, dude, like it was almost just as good as the freestyle, because of the heart. We didn't have no heart to put into it yet. We didn't know how to do that yet. So we was making these jams and shit. And eventually, you know, I got to the point to where I started noticing the shit. And I never really said anything, but I started noticing that everybody was having a good time. And I literally wasn't really having a good time, because I was trying to do the shit for real. You know, like I was trying to step it up, you know, to get to the big leagues, you know, because I was always that dude that wanted that Lambo, you know, I wanted that Rari. And not like just for music video purposes, I just want one, you know, like I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting something. You know what I mean? I don't ever see any problem with wanting something. It's your means of getting it. If you're willing to rob, steal, kill the next motherfucker just to get it, you know, that's a problem. You know what I mean? Because there's other ways to get shit than to be cutthroat and shit and just cut motherfuckers out. Now, I know a lot of people don't agree with that shit or whatever, but I mean, that's why we're human beings, you know, we're individuals. Everybody's fucking different. You know what I mean? And that's how I feel, at least, you know what I'm saying? I'm not willing to step on the next man's toes just to get some shit that I really don't need. Now, if it's survival, that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, if there's one morsel of food left and both of y'all motherfuckers ain't ate for 30 days, I mean, we talking about a morsel here. You can't share a morsel. Somebody gonna eat and somebody isn't. You know what I mean? Like, on some survival of the fittest type shit. But like, if we talking about like a few punk ass dollars, that don't make no fucking sense to me. You know what I mean? It don't make no sense to cut another man's throat over a few punk ass dollars, man. This is stupid ass shit. But anyway, we used to get straight to the music and shit, and I started noticing the shit. You know, everybody was like, everybody have fun, and I wasn't having fun, man. I always wanted to do something better, man. I was like, look, let's work on this, and they're like, nah, man, we got this freestyle coming up. You know, we about to do this, and everybody loved it. You know, I started seeing that shit. Everybody was paying attention to the whole group as a whole, but everybody had their favorites. It was like, yo, my man got bars over here, or this dude's hot, and they ain't say shit about you. You know what I mean? Like, you over here like, okay, I'm taking it seriously. These dudes is clowning, and they blowing up your spot. You know what I mean? So as an artist, you have to hit this spot to where you find out what you are worth as an individual, and you have to progress through that, because the issue wasn't that these dudes were better than me, because they clearly were, in my opinion, and probably half of the other people that listened to it, they were clearly better. But I was always upset because I took it seriously and they didn't, and they were still better than me. And you gonna have that shit, and if some of y'all listening, man, you might be dealing with this shit right now. You gonna have somebody that might show up to your job second weekend until my dude just blowing up your shit, making you just look obsolete, inadequate, trash, whatever words you want to use. They just fucking your shit up, dude. And you gonna get upset about it? It's not their fault they ain't taking it seriously and they still doing a better job than you. So you have to get to this spot where you're comfortable with yourself and you know what you're worth, man. And I always struggled with that, man. It took me a long time to be able to get past that, to be able to know what I was worth and try to become a better individual. You know, try to work on my weaknesses and make myself better, you know, just all around. So dealing with that kind of helped me. So when we was in judo, you know, like I said, we was dropping tracks, and You know, on the side, I was always like working on my own project. You know, like I love doing features with people, but I would say just due to experience, I'm probably a very difficult person to work with. Not a difficult person to be around, in my opinion, but that's me. That's me looking at myself, you know. So that's a little bit different, you know. Everybody else has a different opinion, but I'm really straightforward with what I want. But my means of getting there, like I said, is completely different than everybody else. You know, like there's that standard, and if you don't have that standard, you know, we usually don't work out. You know, as far as a collaboration, dude. If you're willing to cut some shit off or just half do some shit and then have somebody else fix it or whatever, I'm not with that, man. I'm with, you know, pouring your best shit out. Period. Like as you can do it, as soon as you can do it. Whenever you can do it. I don't care if it takes you 50 takes. If it takes you 50 takes to do it, it takes you 50 takes. But you got to try your best. You can't just halfway do it and be like, oh man, we can add this, and tighten it up, and it'll sound like, you know, I was 100% legit. I'm not about that, man. I'm about going in hard every time on whatever it is. If it's R&B, you better sing the shit out of that hook. You better sing the shit out of them vocals. You better talk to them. If it's rock music, you better play the shit out the guitar. You know what I mean? It's whatever you're doing, you got to go hard at it. So back to the story. We was judo was blowing up and shit, you know, and then I was at that point I tried to branch off and do my own thing and stuff, you know, and then, you know, you get back with the boys and then they hear your shit and then, you know, it's everything is different, you know. When you're in a group, you have a different responsibility as an artist, as a group. You have to support each other as a group. When you are a solo artist or even a duo, your responsibilities increase, but it's actually easier to perform what you want to do. You know what I mean? You ain't got to dance around everybody else's shit. You do what you want to do, and you kind of, you know, you go from there. So when I was doing my own tracks, you know, I started on the Doomsday album. That was my first album. And I did a couple tracks before that, but they were just me trying to work up. In the Doomsday album, what I always wanted to do was make like a story with my album. And I feel like I succeeded with that in the Doomsday. It just took so damn long to get done what I wanted to do. I mean, I was literally bouncing from MC to MC, like working with this dude, and trying to, you know, come up off of this and get a job here. And I spent so much time trying to get to the next jam, dude, because I was like living these jams, you know, like you have to have like a real life experience sometimes to come up with some good shit. And I don't think a lot of people realize that, man. They hear a mixtape drop, and then 2 months later they got another tape out, but they're not asking themselves, like, where are these bars coming from? You know what I mean? Did he write these bitches 4 years ago and he was just sitting on them? I mean, is people giving it to him? Nobody asked that question. You know, they hear the music and be like, dude's fire, or dude's garbage, or dude's aight, whatever it is. But I was always trying to put out the next freshest shit. So the 7 years it actually took me to do my first damn album, it seemed like it took 3 because it seemed like everything was just coming out. You know, it was just like boom, then a month later, boom, then a month later, boom, 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 and it was just rolling out after that. Kind of similar to the album I have now, but this one is twice as long. So I got to this point. We got to the Doomsday and shit, and you know, I was working with Wright still, and I didn't really I met Wright in high school and shit, but I didn't really mention him at the beginning of the story because that's a whole nother side story. You know what I mean? He was there the whole time. Like, I would say at least, at bare minimum, 50% of the shit that I do now, the standards that I have, came from him. You know what I mean? Half of everything I know, you know, I either learned from him or he was there when I was figuring the shit out. Like, he's a big influence, you know what I mean? And dude is nice. Dude's nice with everything he does. He's a different person, you know, and it takes that other perspective to elevate you. And I didn't have that from a group. I never really had that. I never really had somebody be like, yo, Tech, you know, you need to just go ahead and smash that whole verse, dog. That shit was just, it's not gonna work. Nobody really told me that as a group. It was always like, oh, dude got his verse, put it on, and then we'll just glue all this shit together and make a whole jam. Like, dude was legitimately like had a standard, and he wouldn't even be involved in no bullshit. You know, like if you had trash, dude, he gonna tell you it was trash. You know what I mean? And I there's a couple people I deal with on a regular basis, you know, and some I don't get to see anymore. Some don't live around me, you know, some just distant. You know, people got families and shit because I'm grown now. You know, people got kids, people got shit to do, people got jobs, people got ambitions, people got careers, whatever. But I try to get what I can, you know, to get to the next step. So when we was finishing up the Doomsday, I feel like that's whenever I became an actual legitimate artist. Like I was actually creating shit. I was thinking about stuff whenever, you know, when all this stuff was going down. I was literally like, okay, I'm gonna plot this on this jam. I'm finna roll up in the whip, and then I'm gonna come through the back of the house, boom, 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 grab this, kick the fridge up, whatever. You know, I'm just making shit up. But like this, I was thinking about shit before I just started. I wasn't just writing rhymes down and then just calling it a song. Like this whole song had a plot. The whole album had a plot. And as I got better at it, you know, I started noticing that most of the issues that I had, you know, as being a successful artist wasn't so much as what I was saying, it's the people that were receiving it. Let me say that again, and this might make sense to you. The people that receive the product that you are putting out are detrimental to your success or failure. I mean, I really believe in this right here. Like, if you a runway model, and every time you do a runway show, you got a crowd of people that don't fuck with runway shit. You know what I mean? They give a damn less what you wearing. They pretty much there just to see. We'll just say it's all women. They just want to see women. You know what I mean? They ain't there to see the clothes or your strut or any of that. They just want to see fine chicks. That's what they there for. It's a lot harder to get the feedback that you actually need from people that aren't trying to give you feedback, like legitimate feedback. You know what I mean? Like, prime example, I bought these chips. Yeah, I'm sure some of y'all seen them. I bought these chips a couple days ago. Rap Snacks. And I saw some shit that just popped out, you know. And take in mind, I'm over here getting pizza, and I see these damn chips. What am I buying chips for when I'm going to get pizza? Anyway, long story short. Fuck that up. Long story short, I'm in the damn pizza place, waiting on my pizza, and what do I see? I see Fabulous on a bag of chips. I'm talking about watch just glistening, blanging, jewelry all shined up, clean ass haircut. And my dog got the, you know that pose where people put the pointer finger and the thumb, you know, under the chin. You know, they just, you know what I'm saying, looking like they got a question for you. That shit. And I'm looking at these chips, dog, and it kind of inspired me. You know what I mean? Like, damn, dude, getting his hustle on, dog. And I don't know what kind of hustle he doing with these chips or any of the rappers that's on the chips, but that's the ones that stood out to me. That New York cheddar. New York cheddar, dog. I like that shit. But like the bag itself, you know what I mean? Like just stood out. It was like, wow. And I ain't even want chips. But somebody saw something, you know what I mean? When they put them chips out, they didn't just hand it to a bunch of motherfuckers that don't eat chips. You know what I mean? Like, tell me what you think about these chips. He'd be like, well, I don't fuck with chips, but I'm gonna eat them. Yeah, them shit's garbage. He'd be like, well, do you like cheese flavored chips? He'd be like, I just told you I don't fuck with chips. So like, how can you get feedback from somebody like that? And that's the same thing with music or anything else you do. You know what I mean? If you in the music industry and you put in music out and the people that's listening to your shit don't understand what you're doing, they can't really give you honest feedback. Think about that for a second. Like, literally think about that. Cannot give you honest feedback because they don't know what you're doing. They have no clue what you're doing at all. They just like, oh, dude's out there working. I like that. And they might give you a thumbs up or whatever, or a like, or a share. And the share is worth more than anything. And a lot of people don't understand that. A share is worth more than anything, dude. Because when you share it, you giving other people that don't know you an opportunity to fuck with you. You know what I mean? I got plenty of friends that my homeboy right around the corner ain't never seen in his life. Ain't never seen them. Ain't never heard of these dudes. And they right around the corner too, you know? So if I bring his shit over to my world and then my peoples see your shit, they might be like, okay, dude's fire. And he messed with dudes, so I feel that. You know what I mean? That networking thing. But I mean, that's a big thing for me, you know what I mean? That's a really big thing for me. You gotta have somebody that's legitimately watching what you're doing, and they have to be involved with that area. You can't have people that don't listen to rap telling you that your shit is fire, because I mean, I hope I'm not hurting nobody's feelings. I mean, at this point, I'm sure if I'm gonna be doing this, I'm gonna be hurting some people's feelings, but it's nothing personal. I'm just saying, if you don't know what the standard is, how can you tell me what's fire? You know what I mean? If you've never smoked ribs before, smoked pulled pork, how can you tell me what fire ass pulled pork is supposed to be smoked like? You know what I mean? You might tell me it tastes good to you, but unless you've literally done this and you know how, and chefs know what, you know, if you a chef, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? Somebody come up and be like, oh, the shrimp tastes good as hell to me, but the chef tastes it and be like, man, this shit overcooked. Like you can feel it and be like, it's overcooked, but we don't, you know, I don't know. I'm not a chef. You know what I mean? I don't cook shrimp like that. You know what I mean? My standard is different. My standard I probably don't even know what overcooked shrimp tastes like, to be honest with you. I have no clue. You can hand me some shit that's been cooked for 10 minutes over, and unless that shit tastes like beef jerky, I'm probably going to eat it. I'm probably going to dip it in some cocktail sauce and eat the motherfucker. I'm not going to lie to you, dog, because I have no clue what that standard of shrimp is. But you fuck with like Gordon Ramsay or something like that, you finna spit that out, dog, straight up. Off rip, it's getting spit, probably on the floor just for trying them like that. How long you leave the shrimp in there? Oh man, I left it in there for like 20 minutes. Do you know how long it takes to boil shrimp? You know, you getting cussed out in front of everybody because you supposed to know that shit. And because you was fucking with the wrong people, you didn't know that shit. So anyway, you gotta have the right people around you to put you in the spot that you need to be to do better. You know what I mean? You gotta have the right crowd. You gotta have the right feedback, all that shit. And you gotta have support. You definitely gotta have support. And it's something most artists, athletes, whatever, a lot of them forget that. You know, it's always that me shit, you know, like I never got to the point to where I went on tour or anything like that, you know, but I could imagine, you know, after you start going on tour and you do a couple shows, you know, you start, you know, you feeling hot, you like, oh shit, man, this all me, dog. Shit, I'm making whoomp every show, you know what I mean? Pockets is getting fat, people hitting me up, people calling and shit. This dude trying to book me. This dude trying to do this. They want me on the show in the morning. I got to do a talk show. And everything is me. But you forgot about all them people that was there with you, that tighten your tie up. Like, look, Holmes, your shit like 45 degrees crooked. You need to tighten this up. You need to go get a haircut. You know, they was like riding your ass to make sure that you was getting it done right. Your support. And a lot of those people get cut out, man. And I found that through experience, man. You go out of your way for some people, dude, and they just forget about your ass. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Everybody's had that happen, dude. You might have had that shit happen in like elementary school. You know, y'all working on a school project, and you do all the work. You know, you like, dude, I'm gonna make sure this dude look good, and then dude just don't even be like, yeah, me and Tech did it. It's just like, yeah, I got that. And then you sitting on the side like, yo, Holmes, bro, I'm the one that put the macaroni on the poster and shit. You know, I see a little yellow brick road and shit that we painted. I did that shit. And then he just act like you don't know you. Whatever, y'all know what I'm talking about, man. There's plenty of instances like that, dude. It could be anything. But you know what I'm talking about. But anyway, after you develop your support system and shit, which that's what I was struggling with on the Doomsday, I started to become that artist. You know what I mean? That was always trying to. I always said I was like, how do I put this? Not underappreciated. I don't want to say underappreciated because I did have people that, you know, appreciated my shit, but it was far too few. You know, which that's to my fault. You know, I'm not blaming that shit on anybody. You know what I mean? That's to my fault. If the shit wasn't fire, it's my fault. If everybody ain't listening to it, whatever reason that you think in life, is not working out the way that you want, just remember, it's your fault. Now, there's certain circumstances you can't do shit about. There's people over there in other countries and shit that don't have fresh drinking water. You know what I mean? There's people that's, you know what I mean, they starving. There's fucked up shit going on everywhere. And there's some shit that you can't do anything about. But like music or some shit like that, your shit ain't fire, that's your fault. Ain't nobody trying to fuck your shit up and make sure that you don't get hurt. Like, oh, Crispy just put out that jam, I'm gonna make sure I don't say shit so this dude don't make it. Nobody's doing that. They might hate on you, but he still listen to it. If the dude put some shit on your page and be like, look, shit was garbage, Holmes, at least he listened to it. You know what I mean? This shit I'm doing right now, this podcast, this talking, you know what I'm saying? If somebody be like, yo, you just talking nonsense, dude, whatever, shit, that means he listened to it. I'm grateful for that. And be like, hey, appreciate it, Holmes. You know what I mean? And I do that shit. I embrace negative energy just as much as I embrace positive energy. If you took the time to put your 2 cents in, you know what I mean, that means you actually took the time to listen to what was going on. And the same thing like at a boxing match or something. You know, people get pissed off about that. You be at a boxing match, dude get popped, bam, and then dude stand up, be like, oh, and then people get pissed off, like, yo, what you yelling for, Holmes? You be like, dude paid his money. Dude paid his brat, dude. It's $20 at the door to see this match. He can get up and shout if he want to. He paid his $20 just like you did. Maybe you should be standing on the chair, you know what I mean? So, like, as long as you don't bother me, you know what I'm saying, I'm gonna embrace it. You know, if you just talking shit on the side, like that passive talking shit, like I said, dude, your track was garbage. You need to tighten up. That doesn't hurt me. That doesn't make me feel like, you know, that I done fucked up, dude. Maybe I shouldn't be rapping no more. That doesn't make me feel like that. You're gonna have people that disagree with what you do. You're gonna have people that tell you your shit just ain't that tight, it ain't that fire, whatever. You know, that's how people are. You know, some people are assholes, and you get those. Some of them people will help you. Some of them same people are gonna become your biggest fans of whatever you do. Some of those same people, the same motherfuckers that put the first thumbs down on your YouTube video. You know what I mean? You got that big ass thumbs down. That shit hurt too. The first time I caught a thumbs down, woo, that bitch hurt, boy. I'm telling you, dude, because I was like, damn. Like, I always saw my videos, you know, but usually them videos be like 10K likes and then like 359 thumbs down. And, you know, you don't really think about it. You're like, okay, some people thought it was ass. But when you catch your first one, some of y'all that ain't never made a YouTube channel or whatever yet, and you gonna catch one, everybody gonna catch at least one. Ain't nobody got it. I'm pretty sure there's nobody out there got a YouTube channel that's got more than 10,000 views, which is now the new, you know, that's the new standard for YouTube. You know, if you don't make 10,000 views, you ain't even gonna get paid. You ain't getting no AdSense. You ain't getting none of that shit till you get 10,000 views, dog. And for some of y'all, 10,000 views, y'all get that on one video. You know what I mean? Real shit. Y'all get that on one video. Now me, I've had this channel for what? Take a look at this shit. Let's see what we're looking at here. How long we had this channel? So we're gonna go to, let's go to the burnt toast, my channel. And if y'all, you know, if y'all haven't hit the subscribe button yet, man, you should have been did that shit. I see some of y'all catching on and shit now because you like, dude ain't playing. But y'all need to go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you haven't done it. Because, you know, we just dropping random stuff at any time. You know, it could be 12 o'clock at night. It could be 2 a.m. 5 in the afternoon. You never know. But if you ain't subscribed, man, you just goes on the back burner, man. I've been there. I've had some people, dog, you know, I hear their jams and be like, oh, I fucks with dude, and forget to hit that subscribe button. It just goes on the back burner. You just forget about it till your homeboy come up and be like, yo, you heard that new Dom Kennedy, dog? And be like, man, I've been listening to Dom for like 2 years, but you ain't said shit about it. And be like, you know what, you right. I probably should have said something about that. You know what I mean? Everybody get like that, man. He just goes on the back burner, you forget about it. So we're about halfway there on the 10K, you know, the standard. So I'm below standard on my YouTube shit. And I've been doing this as far as a channel, not the podcast thing. I'm talking about having a YouTube channel, Super Crispy. I've had this channel since January 20th, 2012. And it's 2017. You know what I mean? So, like, we talking about going on 6 years, and I ain't even hit 10,000 views yet, man. And I got videos upon videos of just
And not all of them are videos, like most of them are jams and stuff. But I mean, I got what I feel like is some interesting stuff on there, man. And there's some really good portions of my life, stuff, just really good stuff, man. I always invite y'all to check it out if you haven't. Run through it. But we're under the standard, and that's where you got to get to even get a cent off of any of this, And some of us don't do things for money. Understood. Some things you just do for love. But there's never anything wrong with getting an incentive for doing something. If somebody is willing to pay you to do something that you're already doing, I find it. I would be dumbfounded by somebody that wouldn't want to be involved in that, unless there was some negative repercussion to it. If there's negative repercussion to it, nah, I wouldn't do it. I feel on that. But that's something that it was a bonus for me, and I'm just trying to get to that 10,000 mark just to establish myself and be like, okay, yeah, I'm making progress. You know what I mean? And I can see that I'm making progress. It's just not at the rate that I want. So, you know what? Here's what we're gonna do, man. We're gonna take a break. We're gonna get back to this in a minute. And I'm really enjoying this right now, you know what I mean? The audio, we gotta do some tweaking and stuff, but we're gonna get back to that. We're gonna take a quick little music break, because that's what we do on here. We're gonna have commercials eventually, but they all gonna be like, real commercials, not that phony ass shit that you hear, on the radio and shit. It's gonna be like, people in the 850 doing shit, man. We gotta get commercials going. You gotta put your peoples on, man. You gotta help your community. You know what I mean? And there's people out here doing real work, doing real good things, man, and just don't get the opportunity to shine, man. And that's what we're gonna do. So we're gonna hit this quick commercial break. I'm gonna get back with y'all in just a minute, and y'all just kick it. You know what I mean? And here's some tunes. All right. All right, we back. You know what I'm saying? I had to take that little break real quick. But we was talking about, I was going over my whole, my background, my experiences, all that good stuff. All the things that got me to this point, to where I felt like this was the thing that I wanted to do. So we was touching up on the Doomsday, and I know we got a little sidetracked. I'm that dude. I feel like I got a lot of stuff to talk about. This whole setup with this, the What's Good setup. It's been something that I wanted to do for a long time, but I just never really did it. I had different setups. I feel like I'm a real creative guy. I'm always that dude that wants to be like, yo, I got this new idea. Let's do this, son. And then I'll be on something else the next day. I'm always coming up with some new crazy shit. But one of my bosses at work and shit really convinced me. I think that this is probably a good idea. I've heard people tell me here and there, like, yo, you should do like a show, man, because you just be talking about some crazy shit. You's a wild ass dude. So I'm like, I feel you on that, but I was always afraid to like get on the mic from the get go. Like I said at the beginning of this session, I'm a shy guy naturally, and I'm really good at hiding that shit. Unless you really know me. If you really know me, you can probably sense that shit that I'm a shy dude. I'm just really good at hiding it. And anxiety probably has a lot to do with that. And we're going to tie this in. This is all going to make sense in a minute. So, anxiety has a lot to do with me being a shy person because I guess growing up, I was always I went outside and shit. Like when I look outside, I don't see kids like riding bikes and shit like 5 deep, 6 deep like we used to back in the day. You know, like on the weekend, like Saturday morning, shit, boy. All right, first thing we did, you know, cause I mean back then, and we talking back when I first started ripping the streets, dude. Like I think we was in Cali in what, 93? Let me see. Nah. No, we couldn't. Nah, that's about right. I think I was in Cali in '93. Anyway, I think I was like, I was riding bikes. Like even when we was in New York and shit, like I was riding bikes early, dude. That's what I did. As soon as I remember when I had my first set of training wheels. You know what I mean? Like I rocked the training wheels off that shit, and then eventually I was at, you know, you as a kid, you like I want to ride without training wheels because you see the big kids doing it. You like I want to ride without training wheels, and as soon as you take them bitches off, you gonna bust your ass. No, you know you gonna bust your ass. But I mean that's the whole joy of being a kid, you know, is going outside and doing shit like that, man. You know what I mean? Being adventurous and shit, like always trying to, you know, do something new. Like let's ride here, let's do that. So eventually, you know, you get like 5, 6 years old. Growing up the way I did, and some people have different experiences, but for me, assembling a crew, and when I mean crew, y'all know what I'm talking about, assembling a crew. You gotta have a squad out here. Whether you want to believe this shit is true or not, you can't do everything by yourself. Really, you can't do shit by yourself. You think you can, but you can't. You know what I mean? You just can't. It's hard, man. And I'm not going to say it's impossible, but it's a 99.9% chance that somebody else is going to have to help you do something, dude. You know what I mean? Like, the shit is rough out here, bro. And y'all know what I'm talking about, man. This shit is rough, dog. It is just straight up cold out here on these streets, man. It is not a joke. I don't know how many of y'all think it's a game. It's not a game. Like, there's so many people on this earth right now that it would be impossible for one individual to actually be as important as they actually think that they are. As fucked up as that sounds, dude, it really is. And this is all part of this anxiety shit that it stems from when you're a kid. You know what I mean? The way you grow up has a lot to do with the way that the total outcome. It like molds you. Like most of the things that you didn't think mattered as a kid, they do matter. You just don't notice it. But as a kid, I was always trying to assemble that crew, dude. And in that crew, you're gonna find out real quick the types of individuals and personalities that you're gonna be dealing with for the rest of your life, and you don't realize it. You know, because back then they're just friends. that's what you know, that's my friend. You know what I mean? I'm gonna go to my friend's house, and you know what I mean, we're best friends, right? You know, that's what everything was about back then, because you're a kid. It's supposed to be. You ain't supposed to be thinking about, oh man, I'm finna get a 401k and I'm finna shut the damn New York Stock Exchange down at age 7. You shouldn't be doing that shit. If you're that kid, good luck, you know what I mean? Props to you, you know what I'm saying? If you shut the damn stock exchange down before you get out of high school, fucking do it, you know what I mean? But I'm a firm believer in let kids be kids, because you only get one time to do that shit. It ain't like you can just jump in a motherfucking time machine and go back to when you were 7, be like, hey, now I'm gonna relive all this shit, and then go back to when you're 45 and then go back to making paper every day. You know, it's a totally different thing, man. So kids gotta have time to be kids, but you also have to have like guidelines and standards and instill values and shit. Like you gotta have them working, because if you let your kids not work, they ain't gonna know. They ain't just gonna wake up and be a good worker. You know what I mean? Like it has to be something that's drilled on you. It has to be part of your way of thinking, your psychological mindset. Not mindset, functions. I mean, it's got to be something that's it's in your brain. All the time. You got to always be wanting to do it because nobody wants to work. I don't want to fucking work. I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you, but yeah, I love working. I love busting my ass out in the hot sun for 40 hours a week for the rest of my life. Nobody wants to do that. Some people love working, but they don't want to do that shit for the rest of their life like that. I mean, there's other shit that you could be doing. You could be skiing or some shit, snowboarding, skydiving, bowling, sitting at the house. I mean, there's like plenty of shit that you could be doing instead of working. But I mean, people got bills and everybody has their reasons why they work, man. But you gotta do it. You know what I mean? Unless you got a better plan. If you got a better plan, then you ain't working. But shit, if you ain't got a better plan, you better get out here and get this paper, man. Because that's all there is out there. And as a kid, we was assembling these crews and shit. And that was one of the main things right there. We was always, whoever had the fly, and let me say this off top, whoever has the flyest shit is that dude. But you figure that out really early as a kid. Because once you start riding that bike, you take them training wheels off, right? And you start riding that bike, and you're going to see other kids riding their bikes in the same neighborhood. I don't see that no more, but I'm talking about back when I was growing up. In the same neighborhood, and you look at his bike, and then you look at your bike, and then you start seeing the differences. Like, his shit got chrome on it. Oh, his shit got little sparklers and ribbons and shit. You know what I mean? He got a little flag on the back. Like, you start noticing differences. And then you start looking at, you watching where he going and like, oh, his house is pretty big. His house is huge. Oh, I see where he live at now. Oh, what kind of, his parents got a nice car, and as a kid, you don't see it like that. It's just shiny. Shit is just shiny. When you're a kid, the shinier it is, it's like the tighter it is. You want some shiny shit because you don't know what you're looking at yet. It's just a car. I mean, it could be a hoopty until another kid tell you that it's a hoopty. You don't know what a hoopty is. Your parents ain't gonna be like, yeah, son, I'm sorry you gotta ride in this raggedy ass car. This shit is a beater. You don't know what a beater is. It's just a car. So anyway, you start seeing that they got better stuff. And you start hanging out with people. You start meeting them. You just be riding at the same time every day. He come over and go, hey, what's your name? Like, hey, my name's Jay. Oh, you want to ride together? Okay. Y'all just ride together and shit. And then, like, after a couple days of doing that shit, y'all are going to start talking. You start to actually find out who this person is. A lot like real life relationships. Like, I mean, not that type of relationship. I'm talking about, like, a friendly relationship. Like, you meet a new friend, that's how you do it. Y'all have to have something to talk about, so you got to figure out what this dude even has in common with you, or why you even talking to him. And you figure that out early. So as you start hanging out with this kid, right? And he's like, hey, you got that new Mortal Kombat? What? That Mortal Kombat 2? Nah, I ain't got it. Oh, I just got it. So now, you know what I'm saying? You like, okay, dude got some tight stuff. And he's inviting me over to the house. So usually that's what's coming. Like, you want to come over and play it? And then, unless dude just like crazy or something, or he's just out of your league. Sometimes people just be out of your league. A 7-year-old shouldn't be hanging out with a 13-year-old. You know what I mean? So if it's a 13-year-old coming like, hey, you want to come to the house and come play it? Probably not a good idea, because why would a 13-year-old be hanging out with a 7-year-old? You know what I mean? Usually you should be like a year, maybe 2 at most at that age apart. And then after that, it's just not a good idea, because the brain hasn't developed at the same level. You know what I mean? A 7-year-old's brain is completely different than a 9, a 10, 11-year-old's brain. You know what I mean? At that point, they're starting to develop like major functions. They're smarter than that kid. So you gotta take that into consideration. But anyway, we're talking same age range. So you come over there, you playing the game, and then like you ain't never played this shit. Like you ain't got no shit like that at the house. You know what I mean? So you're starting to learn this grinding element. Like, I want what this cat got, but I can't get it. So then you start raking leaves and shit like that. You know what I mean? And that becomes an idea. Like, how can I get money? I'm gonna go around the neighborhood and grab a bucket and wash cars. Knock on people's doors and wash cars. Can I wash your car? for $5, $10 or whatever, and then somebody's gonna say yes. A lot of them are gonna be like, nah, I appreciate your hustle, kid, but they're not gonna give you the money. But eventually somebody's gonna be like, you know what? Whatever you want, it's probably gotta be pretty important. So yeah, I'll throw 10 on it. Let you wash the car, it's gonna be fucked up. I mean, if you let the kid wash your car, you gotta expect it. You gotta expect it to rewash it afterwards because he don't know what he doing. Like, he ain't finna chamois your shit and make this shit glisten. Yeah, make sure the wheels, make sure the inside of the chrome clean. I can't be out here looking ugly. For $10, man, come on, dude. You gotta be about to wash it anyway, dude. It's a kid, bro. But anyway, you get your hustle on, you raking leaves, and then you buy that first video game. And then you start figuring out that you can do this yourself. And the earlier you get that concept, I think, the more fucked up it kind of makes you. And I say that to say this: you start to chase things that you shouldn't chase. Early on, like when I was a kid, man, I was constantly trying to figure out how I was gonna get some money. That was one of them things. I was the money man, like that's all I was. Even as a kid, dude, I was always like that, man. Man, I mean, when we was in high school, man, I was mean with the lunch money, dude. We was flipping, dude. We was trying to get money. And this in high school, dog. You know what I mean? But I mean, before that, dude, I mean, when we was in Panama, I'm over here selling candy, selling blow pops and shit, trying to get quarters, which was a big deal down there. I don't know if some of y'all been around the world and stuff like that, but there's some different standards, man. I mean, down there in Panama, boy, you can get anything you wanted on a hot dog, for 50 cents. I mean, anything you wanted on the side of the road. Dude got all that, dog. Anything that, I mean, shit they charge $3, $4 for up here, dog. On the side of the road, tastes just as good. Tearing it up. Throw $2 on it, dog. Be good for the night, dog. 4 hot dogs loaded. Mustard, relish, onions, whatever, chili, ketchup. I mean, all that, dog. Loaded. $2, 4 of them. Thick. But I mean, that hustle, man. It was always about that hustle, man, and that was always instilled. Even when I work today, I'm always trying to get to where the money is, man. And some people are like, that's not a bad thing, dude. But I really feel like it actually contributes to my anxiety. As a kid, I was always like that, and the more I did that, the more I wanted to just seclude myself from people. Especially people that weren't trying to do the same thing that I was. I was always tried to stay away from people that weren't on the same, set that I was, the same mindset. I mean, like I said, you gotta have your crew, dude. But like, there was times where, like, just because you're not on the same mindset, man, doesn't mean we're not friends. Let me get that straight. You can be friends with somebody that is not on the same mindset as you. You don't have to. Dude ain't got to be identical to you for y'all to be friends. First off, but you spend more time doing stuff that you want to do, and the people that you're around that are doing the same stuff that you want to do, you're gonna spend more time with them. I mean, it just seems natural to me. You're gonna spend more time with them. So, as I did that, I started realizing that I started developing like an anxiety. I didn't want to. People be like, "Hey, man, we about to go down to the park today. You want to come?" And then it'd be just like you look out the window and you see like some of the kids like like, man, this dude's a bully. Why are you hanging out with him today? And like, you talking to your dudes in the window, like, man, why you chilling with him today? And he's like, oh man, he just came with us. And like, man, you know what? I'm gonna stay in the house. And like, oh man, why you selling out? Like that's. He's like, man, why you bring him with you? It's just like now you the bad guy or whatever. And that shit causes anxiety too. It depends on what type of personality you have. Like I said, I have that type of personality where when you say some shit that affects me, like we were saying earlier, if it doesn't affect me, it doesn't bother me. If it affects me, like you're talking directly to me on some shit that fucked your shit up, then it makes me upset. I lose sleep over shit like that. They be like, hey, yo, Tech, man, last time you put my tires on, dog, the bitch came off. The whole tire came off. I ain't never had that happen, but like the whole tire came off, the wheel was, scraping, son. You know what I mean? You trying to kill me, dog? And it's like, nah, man, I never do that to you, man. My bad, dude. And then like that night, I'm still thinking about it. Next day, still thinking about it. Probably 2 months out, still thinking about it. You know what I mean? Like, this shit just, I'm that type of dude. I can't just blow shit off. Like, oh, whatever, he shouldn't let me do it. I'm not that type of dude, man. So, as a kid, all this anxiety shit, it fucked with me. It was always tearing me up, man, because I didn't want to be around people a lot. Like, I like being around people, but I didn't really want to be around people. If that makes any sense, like you have to do it. It felt more like something you have to do. Like, your parents be like, why you been inside all weekend? Something wrong with you? Like, nah, ain't nothing wrong with me. You can't just sit in here and play video games all weekend. Like, well, I just bought this game. I've been working, for a month, raking leaves, tearing up yards, trying to get this game. But man, you need to go outside. So you got to go outside, and Pops, he told you to go outside. It was time to go outside. When that game was on, you know what I'm saying? When that game was on, dog, you might as well just go outside, dog. There ain't no point. Unless it was nighttime, you might as well just go outside. Then he ain't want it. I don't want you in the house tearing shit up. You know what I mean? Like, go outside, go play, run that energy out. So that way, when your ass come back, you be wore out. So the anxiety it started getting worse as I got older. I got to middle school, and you get older and you start spending more time, like I said, doing shit that you want to do. And the whole time, this personality that you're developing, you don't know you're developing it. It's just something that you do. You're just that type of person. You're like, this is what I want to do every day. And that becomes your personality. That is exactly what your personality is based off of. If I could have a video of the shit that I said when I was a kid compared to now, it'd be like, no, this is fucking crazy, dude. Like, I was saying stupid shit when I was a kid. I didn't even know what I was talking about, dude. I remember I wrote this one shit. I don't know how old I was, dude. I had to find that shit, but it was like this book that was called My Life and shit. And when I was grown, I had forgot all about it. So my mom's found this shit. She's like, did you read this? And I was like, nah. She was like, look, you gotta look at this shit. So it's just shit that I was a kid. And then, like, one of the parts in there, one of the sections, and shit was crazy, dude. Like, one of the sections, it was talking about how I want to be, when I grow up, I want to join the riot squad so I could beat people with nightsticks and get paid for it. And I'm like, I'm reading this shit as an adult, like, yo, what kind of shit was I on? You know what I mean? And then, like, when you read it, you like, hold on, that does sound like some shit I would have said, but I would have been joking. There's no reason that I would have been serious with saying some stupid shit like that. It had to have been a joke, you know what I mean? Like, that sounds like some stupid shit I would say. You'd be like, yo, that shit would have to be a tight job. Like, why? Because you get beating people up, you get paid to beat people up, dog. But, I mean, in a real sense, that shit's not funny, you know what I mean? Like, that's probably not a fun job. It's probably terrifying. Motherfucker, you gotta be hard to do some shit like that. That's like being a knight in medieval times and shit. You know what I mean? Like, you standing there with a shield and shit, and these guys are throwing shit at you. They throwing rocks, whatever. You just gotta stand there and be like, all right, these cats come closer, though. We finna tear their ass up. More power to you. If you can do a job like that, all jokes aside, that's a serious ass job. You know what I mean? That is a serious ass job. So, I mean, no jokes with that. But, like, as a kid, though, like, when you see something like that, you're like, damn, I can't believe I said some stupid shit like that. And you figure out that you're really not that far off from being a kid as you are today. Personality-wise, inside personality. Now, everybody has a different projection of themselves. I can be the same person and still be a different person to you. Completely different person to you. And that's what makes what I'm doing right now so hard. Is because when you hearing this is actually me. You know what I mean? Some of y'all know me personally and know that depending on what type of mindset I want to see you with that day, that's who I am. And that's another story. That's, like I said, that's that anxiety shit. It all warps your personality, and you start dealing with dual personalities. So this is how it ties in with the music and shit. Because I don't want to get too far off subject. Because I mean, we're trying to keep it simple here, but at the same time I have to explain what's going on. So the whole time, I hope most of y'all figured it out because some of y'all know me, but some people don't know me, so they're hearing this, and this is all new information to some people. So when I first developed on my music, the split personality deal, the Joe Crispy, the J-Tek, which both names were given to me. You know what I mean? It's not like it's like, yo, I want to, you know what I mean? I want to be this dude this day. Like originally, I was Mr. Beef. That was my original rap name, is Mr. Beef and shit. And that whole name, you know, like I was a kid, you know, I was in high school when I came up with that shit. So like on some real shit, like I was talking about beef, like, you know, food, because like I love beef and shit. But like as you get older, you start realizing that Mr. Beef probably isn't the name that you want to have as a fucking rapper. I mean, real shit, that's probably not a good name. You're probably gonna get some beef, somebody probably gonna pop at your ass or whatever. I mean, it is what it is. And you start to realize that as you get grown. So I'm like, yo, that name's not gonna work, man. So back then I was fucking with my dude Sean, heavy and shit. He was rapping too and shit. You know, he was the cat spitting bars. He doing his thing now and shit. You know what I mean? Out there making his money. You know, raising the family. You know, take care of the kids and shit. So I mean, back then we was just running the streets and shit. And my dude. Oh shit! What's going on here? Hold on, I'll be right back with y'all. Shit coming out. Oh, we're gonna take a quick break real quick. I don't know what's going on with this. Alright, we got it. Alright, we back in. So what was I talking about? Oh yeah. So I was chilling with my dude Sean and shit. And we was always talking about like, cause back then we was racing. We called it racing, but we ain't had no motors back then or nothing like that. You know, we just thought the shit was fast, cause that was back when you first get your license and shit. So everything you drive is fast till you ride some real fast shit. So we had we always had the Honda was like our thing, you know what I mean? He didn't have a Honda and shit, but like V-Tek, when V-Tek came out and shit, you know what I mean? Like we were already had a license and shit. V-Tek had been out for years, but everybody was just finding out what that shit was. So that was like the new thing, like damn, we wanted that V-Tek, dog. So me being the the technologically advanced person that I was, you know what I mean? We was chilling with Sean and shit, and he was talking about the D-Tek, because that was what he called his variable valve timer in his motor and shit. He had a probe and shit. It shit used to buck back then. I mean, now if you see it, you was like, okay, that shit was not that fast. But back then, shit, dog, you had 200 horses, you couldn't tell us nothing, dog. You had 200, dog, that shit was bucking, dog. Because we didn't know no better, you know what I mean? But his he called it the D-Tek and shit. So we was riding in it, and we was talking about that shit. And then somehow, as he was talking about that, and I was talking about my shit. But this was back when I had all this I had a TV in the whip. I had a little TV in the Civic, and then I had the Dreamcast in that bitch. We playing fighting games on lunch break and shit in the school parking lot and shit, like just stupid shit, man. But I had all sorts of gadgets and shit in there. He said, "But yeah, you got that J-Tek though, that J-Technology." So I'm like, okay, I like that. And then that shit kind of stuck with me. So people started calling me, J-Tek, Tech and shit. You know what I'm saying? So that was like my original name, dude. Like the Tech. People always call me Tech. You know what I'm saying? So like I've been Tech for a long time, man. And you see, like people to this day, people that actually really, really know me, they don't call me Crispy. They call me Tech, because that's that era that I was in. Different eras, I was a different person. You know what I mean? So Tech was Tech, and then halfway through the doomsday, right? And this is that anxiety shit. It's that anxiety. It's how it ties in right here. So that anxiety shit started fucking with me. You know what I mean? Like I can't just be one artist. I can't just be that dude, because there's this other side of me that's just saying like, yo, you need to spit like this. You need a whole different personality. And sometimes the shit was happening on accident. The first jam I put, I can't even remember the first time I mixed Joe Crispy in. It wasn't I Am. It's on. Damn, what jam is that? But the first time I did Joe Crispy, man, it was on accident, dude. Like I came in feeling like a different person, you know, because that shit happens to me a lot. You know, sometimes I wake up and I'm the same person, you know what I mean? But I'm like, you know what? I wonder what happens if I turn my eyebrows in today and look serious, you know what I mean? And mentally change my my personality, like actually try to change my personality, have a different voice, have a different stance, have a different posture, like literally. And the more you do this, you start seeing how this works, and it really does have a lot to do with the output. It has a lot to do with the output that you get from other people, you know what I mean, what they say to you, the way they motherfuckers hold doors open and shit. It has a lot to do with the way you present yourself. So as I started doing that, I realized that I needed another personality, and Joe Crispy came out on accident. You know, it was like straight up accidental, dude. You did that rugged ass voice. I'm like, yo, you know, it's completely different than my natural musical style. And once I did that, you know, I heard it, and this is back when I was in somebody else's studio. I wasn't in my personal lab, because I didn't know how to do any of this shit yet back then. I didn't know how to mix and master when I first started to do that shit. To be honest with you, I'm still struggling with it now. It's really difficult to do, but I've gotten to the point to where I feel like, you know, it's manageable. You know, you can make out what I'm trying to do, you know, and it's not, the stuff that you hear on this YouTube is not, you know, the finished product. You know what I mean? This is my trials. I'm trying to figure out what's hot, what's gonna pop before I put out that finished product, you know, because redoing it ain't shit to me. It's finding out what's working and what's not. So, and that's what's so important, is the feedback. The feedback is very important in anybody's operation. It's important. So on this shit right here, when we doing this, the what's good, feedback is important. Any questions y'all got, you know, any comments, whatever, shout outs, whatever, man, you put it in the comments and shit, man, and it gives me an idea of what's going on here, what I'm doing wrong, what I'm doing right, you know, what you like, or just, like I said, random shit. You got random shit to say, put it in the comments, man. We might have you on the show and shit, you know what I mean? That's how this works. You know what I mean? It's all about that feedback. But as I was dealing with that anxiety on the album, Joe Crispy came out, and it started working. Now, the problem with that is I was juggling at this point, because I would write bars that was, you know, it sounded like some Joe Crispy shit, but I couldn't say it like Joe Crispy. I had to say it like J-Tek, and then vice versa. That was always a problem. But the Joe Crispy name itself, that was, like I said, that was given to me. I didn't come up with the Joe Crispy shit. You know what I'm saying? And the way my man said it, dog, you know what I'm saying? My dog Wood, the way he said it, we was outside the studio and shit, and we was talking about it, because when I spit the jam, you know, my voice sounded different. He's like, I like that raspiness to your voice and shit, man. He's like, this shit sounds crazy, dude. He said, but you really need another name or something for that. And I was like, well, shit, I can't even think about no damn shit that match with me. I've been tech forever. He's like, man, Joe Crispy. And I'm like, what? It's like, Joe Crispy, only brought crispy 20s. So I'm like, oh shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't never had nobody say nothing like that to me. Like, give me a fucking name and shit. Like, this shit sound clean, dog. So like, it was like, okay, fuck with that dude. And ever since I've been attached to that name, dude, I'm just a different person, dude. I'm that dude that he was talking about when he said that phrase. Like, when I get on the mic as Joe Crispy, I feel like that dude that only rock crispy 20s, dog. Like, you can hear it in my voice. I feel like, at least. I feel it when I write it, you know what I mean? But it's like turning it on and turning it off is easier said than done, you know? It's hard to do, and it takes practice. Just like having a split personality in real life, it takes practice to be able to make that shit manageable, where you don't look like you're a fucking nut. You know what I mean? Like, real shit. But anyway, as I got done with that shit, and we're gonna sum this up so we can get to the end of the segment, because this has been a pretty good session. I'm not gonna front. We're going on a little bit over an hour here, so for a first session, an introduction, you know, y'all can see how this is gonna go. When we start getting some guests and shit on here, it's gonna be some real talk. But anyway, Got done with the first album. We was wrapping it up. I started dealing with the Joe Crispy, J-Tek dilemma and shit. And by the way, I was, you know how I am. I make all my own beats. So like, the only thing I had to do was get features on there. And I'm a really big advocate of trying to put people on that I fuck with. So I was trying to put Bobby on the album and shit. Bobby got on a couple jams, and then right, he was in and out of town because he don't stay around me and shit. But he got on the intro. And I got him on the second album too. He got a clean jam on there, him and Bobby. But we got on the second album, and it was to the point to where I started noticing that a lot of these jams I was gonna have to do myself, because on the first album there was only like 17 songs, and there was way less features, but it's only 17. This one we talking like I already got at least. I think we're in the 30s now. This is a double disc, but I mean we're in the 30s just on YouTube on just the aftermath. So it's twice as many songs, and a lot of them I had to have that backup. I couldn't do just a solo jam with J-Tek or just Joe Crispy like I could on the first album. I had to have substance, you know what I mean? There had to be something to fill up this time, and some of them I could be short. It was just one dude, but a lot of it had to be duos. It had to be Joe Crispy and Tek, or Bobby Benz and Tek, Bobby Benz and Crispy, or right, Crispy and Benz, you know what I mean? Like I was mixing it up, you know what I mean? And then not to mention Mac Arthur, which that's another dude I roll with. That's the dude that hit some of the hooks on some of my jams. But Mac, I mean, trying to get him in here that's a whole nother episode too. You know what I mean? Trying to get all these people together, at the time that's right for the music is difficult to do. So after we finished all the albums and shit, in the meanwhile, I mean, was trying to go to school. Always trying to get that next best job, you know what I mean? And then trying to go to the gym and work out the way I'm supposed to, you know what I mean? And try to compete in the pugilistic arts. All of this together, man, it just, at some point, it literally just destroys you as a person, as much as I hate to say it. You can only, I guess, front for so long. At some point, you have to choose what you want to do. That's what people keep saying, dude. But, like, I'm just trying to get it in, man, before my time's up. That's all. I'm trying to get it all in before my time's up, man. And if I could manage this, doing what I'm doing now for another 20 years, man, I think I'd be fine. I'd be perfectly fine. Just juggling. And, of course, I'm not going to be able to box for another 20 years. That's not going to happen. But I would like to slowly give up the things that need to be given up. I mean, if I get to the point where I compete in a match and, I get faded, just bam, bam, dude, I'm asleep. And I wake up, I get faded, I watch tape and dude just bam, bam, I mean, I'm like, damn, it might be time to give it up. That's what I do, if it's not beneficial for me to do this, and I'm probably not going to do it, I'm that type of person. But yeah, that's pretty much my background for this session. I'm going to talk about all these sessions, this whole talk, business. This is what we going to do. We going to talk about random shit. That's what I want to do. That's what we going to do. My background. And we're going to go from there, man. I mean, random, boy. Have y'all had that new farmhouse burger from BK? I'm finna find out what's up with it, because I ain't had it yet. I don't know about y'all, but I'm finna see what's up with it. The fried egg looked delicious. The fried egg looked delicious, my dude. Like, I'm looking at it right now. Like, this shit is insane, dude. I'm about to see what's up with it. I'll probably do that shit, tomorrow or something like that. Let y'all know what it's tasting like next week. Try to hit one of these every week. But that's what I'm gonna do, man. Get on it. So yeah, I appreciate y'all checking out the show and shit. This is just a little prelude. Let y'all know it's probably gonna pop down every week. Stay tuned. Click the subscribe. And I'll see y'all soon. Jam out.
change. It's all the same.